Welcome to the Goatee Sports Page.
Coming to you live from the Blue Tick Tavern in Maryville and 105.1 FM.
Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in local sports since 1978. Featuring the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards, former Maryville Scot, Donnie Moore, former UT coach, Ray Trail. From the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Provo Heron.
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, along with Donnie Moore, Troy Provo Heron, Coach Ray Trail, and Marcus Fitzsimmons, and this is the Goatee Sports Page. The Tennessee Vols try to rebound after their setback against Kentucky, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set the lineup card, sponsored by Blunt Partnership. It's the University of Tennessee Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Klein Dental Arts SEC Notebook with volunteer football coaching legend Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Today we'll look back at the week in Tennessee Vol basketball and set the stage for today's game with LSU. Sports Page veteran Donnie Moore will announce high school scores from around the area and then mark it down with Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty, features Maryville High School girls basketball, as Coach Taylor Clark will join Marcus. The Anderson Lumber Company High School Player of the Week segment will be on the docket. Donnie Moore and the panel discuss sports headlines from around the country before the Tennessee Smoky Spotlight shines on the SEC basketball standings and the latest national rankings. And finally, the panel gives their shelter insurance bowl predictions for the week. And now it's time for the UT Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Klein Dental Arts SEC Notebook, featuring former UT coach Ray Trail, longtime sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore. Welcome all of you this morning, and by golly, I've had a couple of pieces of crow pie this morning after talking last week about how Tennessee was going to manhandle Kentucky, and that certainly didn't happen. The Wildcats came into Knoxville and stunned the Tennessee Vols in a Thompson Bowling sold-out arena, 63-56. And Coach Trail, I didn't think there was any way Kentucky could win coming off of a loss to a subpar South Carolina team at home and not playing very well defensively or shooting the ball well coming in. But as they say, a wounded animal can be quite dangerous if cornered, and, well, they were cornered for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd had two starters out, and they came away. They stole the game right here in Knoxville, huh?
Well, the big guy inside killed us. I mean, we couldn't stop him. We couldn't.
Oscar.
Yeah,
Oscar
we couldn't.
Tshiebwe.
We couldn't do anything with him, and we tried to crowd in there, and they'd pass the ball back out, wide open shots, and then we try to get outside, then they'd pass it back into him, and he just beat us to death inside.
Well, you got the right word right there, beat us up.
Yeah.
You know, they beat us up on the boards 43-23.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It looked like every time the ball went up, there was three Kentucky guys there, and we were all outside.
Yeah.
It was a weird-looking deal, and you would think that we could make an adjustment and get us somebody inside a little bit.
Yeah.
But we never adjusted to it, and we just kept thinking that we were going to make the big turn that we never made.
Well, Plasvik inside Marcus held his own against, I thought, Tshiebwe for Kentucky. I think they played each other pretty well in there, and Plasvik had a great game, 19 points. But outside of him, it didn't look like anybody else inside wanted any part of that physicality in there, huh?
No, but to what Coach Trail was saying, it was Kentucky had an emphasis on rebounding because, let's face it, when they came in, they were not doing very much well, and it looked very much like they went with a little bit larger lineup and said, guys, if nothing else, just rebound your misses. And it seemed like that clicked for them. Then the more they did it, the more confidence they got. Because Tshiebwe didn't come away with what he did 3 days later where he pulled down 24 rebounds. I mean, he had a double-double, but he didn't just dominate the glass. They had a lot of guys crashing the boards against Tennessee.
Charlie Palaio's here with us. Charlie, good to see you again. I know you were at the ball game last night. I was at the ball game also. William Blount, Maryville. I didn't see you, but we saw a couple of exciting games over there, and we're glad to have you back. Let's talk a little bit about Tennessee from the floor. 3 for 21. That's not going to get it done, is it? Outside.
No, and I really think. Well, first, good to see everybody.
Yeah, great to see you.
It's been a while. Everybody come back here to the #1 sports talk show, Donnie, in East Tennessee for sure.
We are #1 by all 3 of our listeners.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you got some listeners down in Georgia now, so
Good.
that's good. Tennessee, Kentucky. I listened to Calipari after the game, and they had a good game plan. I thought they let the big 7-footer do whatever he wanted, and they tried to shut down all the outside stuff, and the game plan worked. And he came out of Thompson Bowling with a victory.
Yeah. Coach Trail, you're saying, well, Kentucky came to the game. They weren't shooting the ball very well outside. Well, they shot it well outside, and they weren't playing very good defense. They weren't defending, and they did that in this game. And they weren't shooting foul shots very well. And what did they do? 22 for 25 from the free throw line. All the things they weren't doing well, they did well last Saturday.
They did. And I think that caught us off guard because we thought that we were going to outperform them if we could stop the inside guy. Well, we didn't do either one. We looked tired in that game, and it looks like we didn't move, we didn't set up, we didn't readjust any time. We just kind of, I don't know, but it looked like they just kind of stood around some.
Yeah. Charlie Palaio, we talked on the show last week about what would beat Tennessee, what kind of game would beat Tennessee, and we talked about a deliberate game by another team, which every possession would count, not just in the last 5 minutes, but for 40 minutes, and an ugly game. I don't know about the disciplined game, but it was certainly an ugly game. And being ugly, it really took the crowd right out of the game, I thought. I don't think they were really even a factor last Saturday, being a Kentucky game.
It was weird, I thought, watching the game that it wasn't a typical Tennessee-Kentucky atmosphere because, Kentucky just really took Tennessee right out of everything they tried to do. And then with the crowd out of it, I think the pace of play and the way they play really encouraged the crowd. And there wasn't any type of that, in that no flow to the game, and it just was like a blah type atmosphere, and the whole game was that way too.
Yeah.
But a year from now, they're going to blame it on the fact it was a noon start.
Yeah,
it's going to be the crowd couldn't hit it because they played at noon.
Yeah,
the
but why
guys
would you
were
play
sleepwalking
Kentucky
up
at 12 o'clock?
Yeah, well, these same fans, if they say that, they didn't have any problem with playing LSU down there in football at 12 o'clock, did they, Coach Trail?
No.
They did a good job.
But that's
That was a
because
good time to
the
play
bars
there.
don't close in Louisiana, Coach. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about first call.
Yeah. Marcus, I want to hit you with this. Tennessee been known for their aggressive defense. I didn't really feel like their half-court defense was as dominating as we've seen it throughout the year. They just didn't look like they were manning up like we've seen.
Well, they seem like Chris said, they seemed a little tired, and I'm not sure what that would have been. Maybe it was the morning hour. But on the other hand, I think they looked confused to me to a degree because from what they saw in the scouting report of what you'd seen of Kentucky for the last 4 or 5 games, that wasn't the team that they were playing against. It was, like I said, it was a bigger lineup, and they weren't going the same way that they weren't running the same. I mean, they were running some of the same motion, but they weren't using the same focus on it.
And a completely untested lineup. Kentucky going in with that lineup, they really didn't know what they were going to get.
I mean, that could have easily blown up on it, but Coach Cal, he picked a winner and he picked the right time because, depending on what they do today, that's a season turner for them.
Yeah. Donnie Moore, after the loss, any reason to be concerned about this Tennessee basketball team, or you just think it's another college basketball game? You get upsets every week, and no big deal. It happens all the time. It's going to move on, or are there some warning signs that come out of this game?
Well, Mike, I've been concerned about them all season. I think it's just another typical Rick Barnes coached basketball team over here at Tennessee. It's come tournament time, I think they're going to get bounced early.
Yeah. Charlie Palaio, is this a team that we've seen that inconsistency from the outside, and when they're inconsistent and they're not hitting the threes out there, it's an ugly game, and it's going to go right down to the end. Are we going to see, this pretty much play out the rest of the regular season? They get into a tournament. Is it going to be the same old scenario? They have a 4 for 24 or a 5 for 30 in the tournament, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Are we looking at that?
I think the key really for that is the Ziegler kid. Was it the last game they played was at Mississippi State where he hit some big threes down the stretch to really separate the game. I think he's the key. I think he's the only one out there that can really get that three when he wants to.
Yeah.
I mean, Vescovi, some of those guys, they really have to work to get open to get that shot. But he can really create his own shot, and he's shooting the ball better. I think they'll go as far as he goes. I really do.
Coach Trail, we talked a little bit about this before the show, but consistency, not only in shooting but in play of all the players. You just and this is a typical Rick Barnes team. You don't really know what you're going to get from one game to another, do you?
Nope. And we talked about that, but I'm like you. We need 5 guys to put out there that we know what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And you keep running people in and out, you destroy that consistency and knowing where to go with the ball, who's got it and who's going to shoot and who's not. But you keep running people in and out, it breaks that to me. And we try to play 10 or 11 guys in the game. And you're a shooter. You get consistency and you get that feel. You want to keep doing it.
It's all about rhythm.
Yeah,
you got to develop a rhythm out there as a shooter.
You just stick people out there and you jerk them out, and then you put this guy in. But you ought to have 5 that you know exactly what they're going to do, and they do it every week. And then you substitute 1 or 2 guys at a time. If your guy gets tired, let him come sit down a minute, but try to keep your consistency going.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I just, it would be the same thing in football. What if you ran a different quarterback out there every 3 or 4 series and try to play? One guy's a runner, one guy's a passer. You can't do that. Yeah. Everything has to be in sync as a team, and to me, we don't have that.
Yeah, it's just you don't know what you're going to get from one week to the
other.
And here's
it's hard to believe.
It
would be hard if you did not know they were in a top 10 team right now. For listening to us to understand they're number 9 in the country.
Yeah, well,
we don't know what we're going to get game to game.
No, we really don't. And you talk about, Ziegler's he's an outstanding shooter, and people say, Vescovi, he can really shoot it out there. And then you go look at the stat sheets; those guys are shooting 37-38% from the floor.
Yeah.
So you go back and you say, well, why is that? A lot of it has to do with, as Marcus mentioned, TV timeouts taking your rhythm away. Substitutions. Getting you off the court before you get into a rhythm or whatever. You don't you're not playing 40 minutes. Back in the old days where everybody played 40 minutes, you could just kind of set in there. You didn't have that pressure of, if I make a mistake, I'm coming out of the game.
Yeah.
You knew you were going to be there for 40. You were comfortable with that. And I don't know if you have that comfortable feeling there with Rick Barnes right now. Huh?
I think now it's about keeping your roster happy so they don't go in the transfer portal and leave at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them should go.
Yeah. Donnie, everybody's excited. The Vols are 5-1. They just got the 1 loss from Kentucky, but that's a home loss. Mark that down. The old rule said, hey, you got to win all your home games, play 500 on the road in order to win the SEC. Now they've lost a home game to a good team in Kentucky, so they got to pick that up somewhere else. But those 5 wins have come from all bottom dwellers, so to speak, in the SEC. Bottom feeders. You got Mississippi. You got 2 wins from Mississippi State, a win from South Carolina, and a win from Vandy. Those are all teams at the bottom of the league. And now you got LSU, who's another bottom dweller today, which you're probably going to come away with. A lot of basketball left to play, but the jury's still out because you haven't played those top half teams right now in your schedule. Now, granted, you got several of them at home, but you still got to play them, Donnie.
You sure do, and they got a lot to prove.
Yeah.
And you can
early in
see
this
how
season.
when you get a bad run, you can. I mean, look at Arkansas and see how fast you can drop down. I mean, you go from the top 10 to
Well, who is
dropping out
who
with
is the top
5
team
straight.
in the conference?
Alabama.
Alabama, Arkansas.
Well, Arkansas not
Arkansas.
playing very well. They're
not right now.
Yeah, they're
not doing well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bama's a team to beat.
You really got Alabama up there, and you got Tennessee, probably that the people are looking
Yeah.
at right now, and Auburn is playing pretty good basketball. Texas A&M has gotten off to the same start they had last year. They came out of the gate really fast. They haven't lost any conference games, but I don't know about them.
No,
I don't know about them.
They're kind of iffy.
But then after you get those 2 or 3, it's kind of like throw them all into a bag there and see what you come up with. Marcus, I want to ask you, this Kentucky loss, because everybody's was all fired up about playing Kentucky, and we were really playing well as a team. Any comparison to this loss with Kentucky and the loss to South Carolina in football?
I think they're different things. But I mean, you could make a comparison, but it feels like different circumstances to me because football, it felt like a haymaker on the blind side because nobody saw that coming from that team. Whereas this one, it felt like Kentucky was the one stepping up and doing some things, and you knew, even the way we talked about them, how bad they've been playing, we knew they had that kind of potential. It wasn't it wasn't shock and awe. Oh my goodness, Kentucky played a good game. That's expected that they've got that in them. South Carolina was like, really? Where has this been for the first 8 games? Because you've shown no signs you could do this.
Yeah. Charlie Palaio, they came back on Tuesday night, went to Starkville, beat Mississippi State 70 to 59. They're now ranked nationally number 9 in the country and have a 15-3 overall record and 5-1, as we mentioned, in the Southeastern Conference. But it was another ugly game. And as a result of being ugly and so forth, and Tennessee had a couple players out. Vescovy didn't play, Key didn't play, and I know that was big because some people had to put in some more minutes, and that may have been a good thing. Ziegler, that's a perfect example. Ziegler played 40 minutes, got 24 points. And that's exactly what we've been talking about. He knew he wasn't coming out of the game, and he knew he had to produce, and they got a great effort out of it.
It was just like you and Coach Trail talked about. He really started off pretty rough. First half, he was awful.
Yeah.
But he still had to play because they had nobody to come in. So what does he do? He finally gets that rhythm, that flow of the game, and he gets hot at the end, and he's the big difference in the ball game.
Yeah. And Phillips got 18 points, and I'm sitting there watching the TV, and I'm going, where's he been?
Yes,
Where's
absolutely.
he been? How many games has he taken off before he's gotten this 18 points? He looked good, didn't he, Marcus? He looked like the Phillips that we saw earlier in the year.
I thought he did, but there were a lot of people, especially let's say your age bracket, who were probably sitting there thinking, Phillips, is that somebody from the Mamas and the Papas? Is it? I mean, his name wasn't popped up on that list of people that was going to put up 20 points for Tennessee.
No. And Coach Trail, it boiled down to the last 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And Tennessee, possession after possession, came down there and hit threes. They got, especially Ziegler. From the outside, hit the threes, and they played well underneath the basket. Kentucky game, they missed 7 or 8 layups.
Oh.
That really we didn't mention that, but that really cost them in that game. But those mistakes weren't there against Mississippi State. But a much better job of shooting. But it all boiled down again, just like the Ole Miss game down there. Last 3 minutes, it could have gone either way.
Yep. I think that's the way it works when you. Like we talked about, the substitutions. I'm so against that it really irritates me every time I see time out and send 2 more guys in, and you take these 2 out, and I never played basketball, but I always looked at the rhythm. You get a rhythm in shooting. I mean, they get hot, but you don't see that.
Yep.
You don't see that. A guy he goes out there, he makes a couple of shots, they take him out and put another guy in. And I don't know. Like I said, I've never played the game of basketball, but I know one thing: it takes you have times in working when you're working with your hands and the ball and all that. You got to get a rhythm.
Yep.
You got to have that rhythm to do that, and you just can't go out there and just start putting it on the hold, and then you go sit on the bench a while and come back. I think you got to have 5 that you hang your hat on, and a couple of subs to rest them. I'm sorry about the rest of them, I mean you got to win the game. You can't coach to the guys. They got to play for you and the way you want to play.
I just think when you play, if you play for Rick Barnes, number one, you better play defense or you're not going to play much. I mean, that's the way I see it. His name is to play defense. If you play that hard-nosed defense out there, it takes a lot after. I'm talking about the defense that he's expecting, not what we saw against Kentucky, because I don't think they played real well defensively, but the defense that he wants. And when you do that, I think it's hard maybe to play 40 minutes, and a lot of times it'll take away from your offense, to play that hard defensively, huh?
No doubt. I mean, you're putting the effort in on that end of the court, as that game wears on, legs get a little tired.
Yeah.
And any good shooter will tell you, the shot comes from your legs.
But the thing is, when you play on TV, you got all those breaks and everything else. My gosh.
Yeah, you'd think.
I mean, it looks to me like you'd have plenty of time to rest.
One thing I've noticed about Barnes over the years too. I mean, like let's say if Coach is out there playing and he just hit 3 threes in a row, let's say, but then something happens on the defensive end, he makes a mistake. Well, he don't care if he just hit 3. He's coming out of the game.
He's coming out.
You make a mistake, you're sitting next to him. Which, I mean, that could hurt offensively, too, a little bit, where he doesn't tolerate a mistake.
I think it's almost amazing, Don Moore, that we're talking about Rick Barnes and, the trouble they've had in the NCAA tournament and kind of looking at this a little bit like you're looking at it under a microscope. But on the other hand, how lucky are we to have Rick Barnes as the head coach over there compared to what we have seen before Rick Barnes come in here for several years?
Here's one of those things you could make a comparison about is the football season. Everybody got real tired of the muscle pulls and hamstrings and falling down in the fourth quarter trying to slow Tennessee up when the defenses were doing that. With the way Rick Barnes coaches basketball, it feels like his system has suffered more from media timeouts and all those breaks than anything else, because his style is to wear you down defensively, and when you start putting in all those little breaks, those guys can't get as tired as he wants them to be on the other side.
Yeah. I think this Mississippi State game, coming back, winning that game, is a perfect example of how much easier it is to lose a game and then come back. It's a lot easier than it is to win a big game and then play that next game. I don't know. As a coach and as a player, you're always worried about a letdown if you have that big win. But here was Kentucky, who absolutely got embarrassed at home by South Carolina, and look what they did with their back against the wall, and then Tennessee losing at home goes down. I just think it's easier when you've got that adversity after a loss to come back and get that next game if you're a good basketball team.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, when you get beat in a game that you think that you should win, you think that you got to come back a different way, and really all you got to do is do what you're supposed to do.
And do it better.
And do it a little, but
do it a little bit better.
It's just a long way from the penthouse to the outhouse, And you go out there with the pressure that I've got to do this, I've got to do that. You ain't going to get it done. You've got to be confident in yourself when you go out there on that floor that I can make this shot, I can do this, I can do that, and I just do that. And it's not a pressure thing, it's just doing what you do.
Yeah.
And when you start putting pressure on yourself, and Mike can tell you this, and you're out there trying to make it, and it's just a little hesitation or something throws you off.
Sure it does.
And I hate the idea that, just like in football, if somebody misses a tackle, you jerk him out of the game and everything. You coach that guy during the week, and he don't make those mistakes.
Right.
And when he does make them, he knows it. He knows it quick what he did wrong, and there's no need going over and preaching to him. He knows what he did wrong.
does. Yep.
And I think consistency with Rick Barnes is his biggest enemy.
Yeah.
Is getting a consistent 5 players out there playing together, knowing what each one of them can do, and doing it.
Yeah. Right. Marcus, Tennessee's at LSU today. That game's at 4 o'clock on ESPN. LSU struggling. You know, they've changed coaches down there. Kevin Nickelberry is now the coach, took over for Wade, who was the coach before him. Got into some difficulties down there, and he's got himself in a little rough situation. They're 12-6, 1-5 in the league. Alabama beat them by 40, pretty much by 40, and that's another thing. Yeah, some of these teams being blown out in the conference this year is another unbelievable thing. Almost looks like the pro game where somebody gets blown out, or a baseball game. The last place team beats the first place team. You're thinking, how could that happen? Right. But we're seeing a lot of that in in the SEC this year. But any problems today do you foresee for Tennessee down at LSU?
I think they've got things they've got to follow up on from the second half at Mississippi State. And, you know, you've got questions health-wise because if you don't have Vescovi available at 100% today, if you don't have everybody back playing today, then you're going to – this is a chance to test not only Ziegler again, but who's going to be his backup if he turns an ankle, if he goes in between those bigs and he gets hit on the head. You know, they've got to have some kind of focus on being that next point guard because nobody expects you to be down 2.
Yeah.
But once you're down 2, you're only a twist away from being down 3.
Right.
So I think they've got some things they need to do, but there's always potential when you're on the road in the SEC on any given Saturday.
Yeah. Charlie Palaio, this LSU team. You know, you talk about home court advantage, but they're not playing very well, and they're not drawing very well down there, so I don't think that's going to be a factor. But they have a lot of problems shooting the ball outside. I mean, they're not very good at all.
You know, it's amazing to me. You look at some of these SEC teams and the quality of play, how is that the best players that you can find for some of these really top-flight programs at one time? That's the surprising thing, the disparity now between the Kentucky and Tennessee and Alabama and then the rest of them.
Yeah.
I mean, even Vanderbilt, you know, they've improving a little bit, but other than that, some sorry basketball.
Yeah,
at times.
I don't know how long. I think the league in the past has been stronger from top to bottom. This year it seems about halfway down to the bottom. A lot of competition when those teams are playing, but they're just not meeting the standards of the teams up there in the upper part.
And watching a little of the girls side is almost
it's
mirroring the boys.
Yeah,
I mean,
not worse.
Oh, you've got a couple teams there, and the rest of them, good grief, they couldn't hit this building if they tried.
Exactly.
It's awful. So I mean,
Exactly.
it seems like the SEC is struggling basketball-wise.
Yeah, it really
right
is.
now.
Hey, it's time to turn the page, and next up is the local scoreboard featuring Donnie Moore and Mark It Down featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. Wow. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093. The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the local scoreboard, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty. Donnie Moore, we had some huge basketball games in Blount County last night. Of course, the rivalry was renewed between Maryville and William Blount over at William Blount last night. Great crowd over there. Almost a tournament atmosphere. Great experience for all the players as far as getting them ready for tournament play. It's not really all that far apart.
Absolutely.
And then you got Farragut going into Heritage last night, and the Heritage girls came out with a big win. You're going to tell everybody about that.
They did. That's right.
Anyway, exciting night last night in basketball.
Give you the lowdown. That's right. We'll start off over at Alcoa, not because it's first, but because it's first alphabetically. Alcoa hosted Union County. No, they didn't. They went on the road last night to Union County, and Alcoa girls, the Lady T's, won that one 62-13. How do you score 13?
I don't know, but that
game?
sounds like an Alcoa football game to me.
It does, doesn't it?
That's not far off the last time Union County and Alcoa played in football.
You're right. So, but 62-13, the Lady T's last night came out victorious in that one. And the Alcoa boys put up 86 last night. Had a scoring fest against Union County, but Union County was not far behind in the boys' game, 86-76 in the boys' contest. So a lot of offense in that game last night up at Union County. Greenback versus Harriman. Greenback hosted Harriman last night, the Lady Blue Devils. I didn't get a score on that one. Couldn't find one anywhere, Marcus.
I could not help you out this morning.
I
have not had that chance.
I understand. Couldn't find one anywhere. Went to their website. Went to all the score moguls around the area. Just could not find one. So we'll let that one slide.
We'll fill that in next week. How about that?
You got it. But Greenback boys won last night by 10, 78-68. Congratulations to Greenback on a win last night. Moving on to Heritage. They hosted Farragut last night, like Mike said, in a big contest for the Lady Mountaineers, and they were victorious by 3, 53-50 over Farragut last night. So that was a big district contest.
Yeah.
Heritage boys could not return the favor last night and were trounced by Farragut 60-33.
Still looking for that first district win for them.
Yeah, they are. They sure are. So hopefully they'll pick that one up soon. Seymour went on the road to Gibbs last night, and the Seymour girls were defeated by the Lady Eagles 55-39. But in the boys contest, Seymour still, I think they've only won 2 games so far and were not victorious last night. Gibbs won that one 72-57.
You say that with glee. I think you enjoy
I
telling. I think you enjoy
I do
telling
not
me
say
Seymour
that
loses.
with glee, Marcus. I'm pulling for the Eagles.
I think you enjoy telling me Seymour loses.
No, I don't. I'm pulling for the Eagles. I know you're a Seymour guy, so I want them to win. TKA last night went to Knox Grace and won a twin bill, 56-42 in the girls' game and 62-33 in the guys' contest. And over at William Blount last night, over at the Marv, that's what they're calling it now, the Marv.
It was warm in there, too.
Oh, wait.
I like to burn up. I don't know why I didn't wear a pair of shorts and a T-shirt.
Well,
they must be, Blount County must be racking in the money. They could have saved a crap load of money last night if they turned the heat down.
Turn the heat down.
Huh? Hot in there.
You told Rob, didn't you about that?
Yeah,
you asked,
yeah.
Yeah. Principal over there.
Geothermal heating.
I don't know
Say,
what it
we can
was,
save that for
but
next week.
Really.
I was up at the top, so maybe all the heat was coming up there. I noticed the coach over here, Coach Clark, she was pretty calm down there on the floor, so maybe all the air was just coming up, all the heat rising up to where I was at.
Heat does rise. It's hot in that balcony. If you sit up there, I know it's hot.
Yeah.
It does. Well, the girls' game went to overtime, and Maryville prevailed in that one 34-33 in a hard-fought contest. And then in the boys' game, 64-59 in favor of the Red Rebels.
Yeah, and that crowd got 2 exciting basketball games.
They
last
did.
night.
Yeah,
it was
got their
great.
money's worth
yes,
and more.
Sir.
Free
Both-
basketball in
both
the
of
girls'
them.
game.
Let's
so-
kick in that other part. We know that Maryville beat them last night, but first number 1 ranking in the AP poll for William Blount boys earlier this week.
Right. So congratulations to all concerned right there. Well, that's it for the scoreboard, sponsored by Mandy B. Street. Now it's time for veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his segue into his segment, Mark It Down. But first of all, you're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. Marcus, up to you.
Well, we kind of alluded to it a little bit, but if you didn't catch that score and the overtime win, we have Maryville basketball in the house this morning, and let me say thank you all for putting up with us this morning. If you were wandering downtown Maryville this morning, you may have seen them walking around it on the sidewalk because we got them the wrong time, and they showed up before we did this morning, and we appreciate them putting up with us and finding a way to kill some time before we can get you on. Coach, let me start with you. I'm surprised you get up and still move around after the game last night. It seems like you have been worn out and been like, I'm not going to radio this morning.
Well, I do have my youth on my side, so I'm still kind of durable right now. We'll see later on if I can get up after those kind of games the next morning. So.
Well, tell us who you brought with you, and then we'll talk about the game a little bit.
So I have junior Jada Edwards with me right here, and then senior Navy Gentry with us today.
So you're going into overtime at 25, and when you're going into overtime at 25, there's some things that are working and some things that are not. What did you tell this team going into overtime?
I'm trying to think of what we talked about exactly. Obviously, we had switched up our defense a little bit, which gave us a lot of energy. We got some stuff out of transition. But before we started making that run later in the fourth quarter, I told the girls, we called a timeout, and I said, there's not another option right here. We're going to win this ball game, and made sure that they believed in themselves and each other and then what we were preaching to them. And, I mean, by the look in their eyes, I thought that they believed, and going into halftime, I was super confident in just their abilities and where we were at as a team, the cohesiveness that we had. So that's kind of what we harped on at that overtime timeout right there.
Well, Jada, let me ask you, what was the final minute of this game like in overtime last night?
The environment was insane. Like, it was just, we knew that we wanted to win this game, and if we could just play some solid defense for that last minute, we really thought we had it. And I think that as a team, we really, just had great help side in that last minute and just, stuck to what we know, and I think we executed that very well.
And you got a senior that's been there and done this before. What was the confidence level like when you're in that situation? I mean, you've had some close county rivalry games before. What was it? What was kind of the mentality that you all had to have that last minute? What were you looking to do to stop William Blount?
Well, I think one thing is that we all trusted each other. We were all very confident because we all had faith in each other to do what we know that we needed to do. We just knew that we had to play a good, solid last minute of defense in the end, and that it came down to that is just defense.
Coach, what does it do for you that you've got this win? Because you need a district win. The tournament time is closing in, and standings are starting to stack up a little bit. What did you feel walking out of the gym at the end of the night?
Well, one thing we've talked about, we've got a pretty young team overall, and even the older girls that we have, we've put them into a completely new offensive and defensive system. So it's been a learning curve, and I've appreciated them really buying into what we have to say. But I thought last night we've spent the first half of the season showing that we've really grown in our physical toughness, but I thought last night they did a really good job of showing how much we've grown in our mental toughness as well, handling that kind of atmosphere and that kind of deficit, sustaining their run and then waiting to go on a run on ourselves, not on ourselves, but a run ourselves. I thought that really showed how much they've grown mentally and how tough we are mentally.
You're not to the end of the season yet, but we're at a good chunk of the way through. If you want to look back at a little bit, how has this team kind of grown since day one when you arrived?
Well, I think first of all, I think our culture has really grown. They've really bought into the team first mentality, and if we get the opportunity to be there every day, it's not something that we have to do. So really taking pride in being present in the moment and being thankful that we've got those opportunities. And then also just buying into defense is where we get our energy. There's been several games that we haven't shot the ball as well as we'd like to shoot the ball from outside, and we've really stressed on finding other ways to score and not getting our energy from the offensive end, but getting our energy from the defensive end, which we've got a lot more control over.
And on the flip side for the players, what's this year been like so far for you guys? You've had a transition and you're having to do some new things. How has the team adjusted to a coaching change? And
I think that everything is really new and it was different, but I think that we all trusted it and trusted Coach, and we knew that it was going to be good and that if we just work hard and trust each other, everything's going to go well.
We knew that it was going to be a whole different system coming into this because obviously going in with a new coach, it's going to be different, but I think we were all very open to wanting to learn this and wanting to be together as a team so we can succeed.
And, Coach kind of touched on it earlier that you've got a lot of youth on the team, on the roster. And when you have upperclassmen and you're trying to be leaders, but you're trying to learn the system well, that's got to be kind of tough. How did you kind of navigate learning from what Coach wanted to trying to pass that down to tell freshmen and sophomores where they need to be and what they need to be doing?
I think one thing is just try to, if Coach says something, just repeat what Coach says and just try your best to – actions speak louder than words. Just try to do it yourself first, and people will mirror what you do.
And if we were struggling, we would go to Coach and being how do we need to do this better, and just kind of show to the sophomores and freshmen that hey, it's okay to ask if you need help with anything that we're running or doing. And I think we all just kind of have a sense of if we need help, we're all there for each other. And I think that with a new coach and everything, we've really tried to emphasize that to the freshman and sophomore that if you need help with anything, we're here.
And we'll talk a little bit about last night. What was it like for you all? It's William Blount. It's a rivalry game. You all know their players. They know you. Some of y'all are playing in the offseason AAU teams together. What did it mean to come out there with the win?
It felt really great because I think we knew that if we played hard that we could come out with the win. I just think we're very proud of ourselves for how we ended that game.
Was there not that we want you to call anybody out or name anybody by name, but were text messages and social media perhaps exchanged sometime in the last 12 hours about getting the win?
I don't think so. I don't think
No,
so.
no,
not
okay.
really. I think.
Well, you gotta
We
ask
did
that
enough
question.
celebrating in the locker room.
Yeah.
I think we got it out of our system.
Coach Edwards, I think,
Yeah.
wants to chime in here.
Coach, last night, looking back at the game in the fourth quarter, you're down about 8 or 9 points, and it isn't looking real good.
Yes, sir.
I'll be real honest with you. You're a lot calmer than I probably would have been down there on the floor. But I thought you did a great job of going to some pressure right there. You know, some three-quarter court, half-court pressure, and you picked the game up right there, forced them into some turnovers, and I thought that was really the turning point that got you back in the game
Absolutely.
and gave you a chance to win.
Absolutely. We've, like I touched on earlier, we've really stressed like our energy comes from our defense, and we didn't really have another option
Yeah.
last night. So we got to get quick stops and quick scores, and I thought that was the best way to do it. And looking at them, like we said,
If you're not shooting the basketball very well, that's the best way to do it.
In
is to get some
transition.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
thought that was a job well done.
but I can't
going
speak
back.
enough about the girls and the intensity that they brought into that. I think like
Yeah.
they really believed that we were going to win that ball game,
Oh.
and you can't go in there and have an 8-point deficit and pull it out without having buy-in from
There's
everybody
no
out
doubt
there.
about it. They picked it up a notch right there when the game
Absolutely.
was on the line.
And I'm going to take a little bit of a look ahead because you got a big week coming up. Bearden and Heritage, they don't make kind weeks in this district schedule at all. There's not an off week, but those are the bigger ones. You let them celebrate last night. When does the focus turn towards Tuesday?
You got 24 hours to enjoy it, then we got to lock down and lock into the next week. Absolutely.
What do you look for this team to get? What's besides trying for W's? What do you need to see from the team this week?
I just want to see them reach our potential. I think just don't be scared. There's no fear going into this, all confidence, and just continuing to buy into get our energy from defense, and then hopefully that will translate to offense, and then we'll get into the offensive motion that we talk about and those kinds of principles. There's no telling. I think this group has tons of potential if we can put together 4 quarters. So I'm excited about this next week and what they're going to make out of it, what we're going to make out of it. So,
From the players' perspective, Jada, you got another rivalry game coming up, and we've talked for years that this, if you can get out of this district in the postseason, that you've got a good run to make. And anybody can come tournament time. We've seen 6s and 7s come out and be playing in the championship game. But if you can go 500 in the county, if you can go 500 against William Blount Heritage Alcoa, it seems like that's a good mark for a season. What do y'all have to do to get prepared for Heritage?
We're gonna have to be prepared to play physical and have to, go in thinking that like we can compete. Because if we can, have the same mindset and play really hard on defense, that's going to create our offense. So I think preparing this week, we need to be very physical in practice and get used to how it's going to be on Friday, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a very physical game. And I think when we played at Heritage, we showed that we can be very physical and we can compete. We just need to do it all 4 quarters.
Coach, so we can give the shout-out for the fans. Are those going to be at home or are you on the road? Where are those games
we'll
going
be
to
at home against Bearden on Tuesday and then at home against Heritage on Friday.
So you can come over to Campbell Gymnasium and support the Lady Rebels this week.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go Rebels.
I'll give you a chance to close out here a little bit. With everything you've had to go through, transitioning a new program, adjusting to a team, you got to have some shout-outs for some people who have kind of stepped up and helped you on the staff and getting the stuff ready. So I'll give you a chance to who are some of those unsung heroes you got out there?
Well, Coach Driver was the interim head coach when I was getting interviewed and throughout this whole process, and he has been a rock for us. He knows all the logistical stuff that we've got to do, does a ton of behind-the-scenes stuff with that. Coach Ashley Murphy, she's in the guidance office, new to Maryville as well, so it's been fun having our first year together at Maryville. She's been huge for us, and she just is really a ear to listen for the girls. I think they know that they can always go to her and talk, and she'll sit there and listen to them and give them great advice, better than I could give any day. And then Coach Madison Coulter, she's a Spitfire if you know Madison Coulter at all, and she does a good job of giving our team energy and making sure that we're holding that standard of energy during practice, during games, and just continuing to get them to buy in. So I can't speak enough about our coaching staff and all that they mean to our program.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. We appreciate, again, that y'all hung around after arriving early.
No problem.
That was wonderful of you all, and we really do appreciate it. We wish you all the best of luck, and you know, the longer you play into the postseason, the more chances we have to invite you back.
Absolutely.
So hopefully we can see you again this season.
Well, thank you guys so much for inviting us. We so appreciate it.
And be sure and grab some donuts on the way out there.
Yeah, let's thank Dunkin' Donuts, our sponsor, and they have provided a box that has not really been damaged yet outside of me.
Break it right in there. Yeah.
But, Mike, I guess we'll go ahead and turn the page.
Thanks a lot. Hey, we'll take a timeout here, and when we return, the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment will be up. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin', like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
This holiday season, we're grateful for another year of helping you, our members, grow financially. Thank you for choosing us and for allowing us to serve you and help you live better lives. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from all of us at Knoxville TBA Employees Credit Union. We look forward to serving you in 2023.
Knoxville TBA Employees Credit Union. Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. Wow. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. We're back here with ex-Atlanta Brave pitcher Charlie Palaio and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons and former UT football coach Ray Trail and Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore. Let's talk a little bit, Charlie, if we could, about the boys' game last night over at William Blount. Marcus has mentioned that William Blount was ranked number 1 last night in the state, or not last night, but last week in the state rankings. And Maryville came calling, and Maryville lost a tough game early in the week to Hardin Valley at home. Hardin Valley got an excellent team in that league. In fact, Hardin Valley, boy, they got a couple big road wins, one at Maryville and one over at William Blount. So they're doing well in the league. But pretty much a full house over at William Blount last night. Great atmosphere, and I thought 2 well-coached basketball teams in the boys and 2 well-coached basketball teams on the girls' side. Both exciting games, and both came right down to the wire, huh?
Well, and according to athletic director Scott Cupp over there, close to 1,500 people, like you said, a packed house.
Yeah, I saw him counting all the money.
Well, yeah, I bet he was. Yeah. But no, I was impressed. First of all, it was a great atmosphere. I mean, I hadn't seen a crowd like that in that gym in a long time. Yeah. And the boys' game, I just thought that they did Maryville did a very good job of defending Caden Wendell. I mean, he had some open looks some threes. He had some shots he probably could have knocked down, but they made everything very difficult for a kid that's averaging 24 points a game. And I think he only got, was it 8 or 10 last night, maybe?
Yeah, he's barely in double figures.
Yeah, the guard play, I thought the guard play on Maryville, I give them the edge a little bit too. I mean, they played very well, but just a great game, a great comeback by William Blount to make it interesting at the end.
Yeah, I was sitting up there, and Maryville was, extended to 8 or 9 points with, right around the 2-minute mark, maybe a little less than 2 minutes. And I thought, well, I'll just kind of head on down to the exit right here. I thought, and Maryville had the ball, and I thought, well, they'll just run the clock down there with their offense. And next thing I know, they're turning the ball over and missing foul shots, and William Blount's coming down and capitalizing on that. Hit a couple of 3-point shots out there. We're getting really good looks, and boy, they didn't only have a chance to tie the game right there at the end. They had a chance to win the game there at the end.
I mean, I'm sitting behind the bench over there, and it was hot downstairs too, Coach. It was. But I'm screaming at them to foul the big guy. I said, because I didn't see him shoot the ball well all night.
Right.
And all of a sudden he goes to the free throw line and knocks down 4 in a row and seals the win. And how about William Blount? Where would they have been without is it Grady Robertson? Had 24 last night.
Yeah.
Had a great ball game.
He filled it up. He's a good shooter.
Great game.
Shoots off the move really well.
If he didn't play well last night, it would have been awful
I go back
bad.
to that. I think it might have been William Blount's next to last possession. They got three outstanding looks at 3-point shots right there. I mean, they just were great looks. Yeah. And normally, during the game, they were knocking those down, and you would have thought, if I was a betting man, they're going to hit one of those 3 because they were really good looks.
The shots just weren't falling, especially for the Wendell boy. He just could not get a break. He had, like I said, he had some good looks, and but Robertson needed some help last night. And see, Maryville had, I think, 3 or 4 kids in double figures. Yeah. And William Blount, he had Robertson and Wendell might have had whatever he did, 8 or 10, and that was it. There wasn't a whole lot of contribution from anywhere else.
And again, we talked about the pressure that Maryville girls put on William Blount's girls. There, it kind of turned the tide. But I thought William Blount's boys put a little pressure on Maryville there down the stretch, especially in the last 2 or 3 minutes that created those turnovers.
They did. I don't know all the ins and outs of basketball presses and all that, but they were double teaming the ball and forcing them to the sideline. And they did a great job. And how about the elephant in the room is the Clemmer boy, the William Blount transfer.
Right.
I mean, he led them in scoring last night. He did a great job defensively on Wendell. I mean, that had to be tough, on the William Blount side.
This goes to show last night with Maryville going over there and getting that huge win at William Blount, how tough this league is in basketball and how tough it has been for years. And granted, there may be some teams in the second tier there that don't add up to maybe the first 4-5 teams in the league. But here you got William Blount rated number 1 in the state, Marcus, last week, and they're fighting for their life in their own league. As far as first place is concerned, huh?
And that's the way, we've said it. Maybe the pollsters are starting to recognize it. It's what if you can get out of this district, in so many sports, but especially most years in basketball, if you can get out of this district in the postseason, you've got a good chance to be playing in Murfreesboro. And it's not unreasonable and not unseen before for us to have two teams playing at state from this district.
Yeah, 2 losses, and they're both in this district.
Yeah, and they've got a tough road to finish off here. They've got some really tough games.
Sure.
William Blount does. I mean, it's a tougher stretch than any stretch they've had during the year, Charlie. So
they have to go on the road to play some of these teams.
Yes, yeah, and they're the upper part of the league. So.
I mean, you were watching that game last night, and you would have thought, you said, well, William Blount's a top 10 team. Well, as good as Maryville played last night, they'd be right with them.
Shouldn't they be too?
Sure, and they came in at 13-7 before last night. Mm-hmm. And so that's they look really good. I mean, if they get that a couple of those guards hitting those shots like they did last night, and they got Clemmer inside, and the other kid's 6'8".
Yeah,
they got a good team.
Well, from Maryville's standpoint, seeing them play last night, they're working up to tournament scale. They're getting ripe just when you want them to get ripe, is what I'm trying to say. That's what you want to do with a basketball team.
Right.
They look to me better than their record.
Oh, yeah,
right
that's what I'm saying, sure.
They played a great basketball.
Who are your top 3? It's Hardin Valley, William Blount, and Maryville.
Yeah.
Bearden up there again this year?
Yeah, Bearden, and you can't throw Bearden or Ferry get out of that mix.
Well, they're not, according to – well, yeah, they are. I mean, they're a good team as always, but they're not up to par for a Bearden team.
Not like they have been in the past.
No. But they're dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
William Blount went over there, and it was a 7 or 8 point ball game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a
dogfight.
Big win. Hey,
bulldog fight.
Before we're going to talk a little bit about the Lady Vols right here. But Coach Trail, last week we were talking about players going to college, making the right decision, for them where they can play and so forth and so on. Well, Tavian Jackson, quarterback at Tennessee, fits that bill. He came down here from Center Grove High School in Indiana. He was a touted player, one of the best players, probably the best player in Indiana. A quarterback, Center Grove, outstanding football program up there. And he is transferring to Indiana University. And you sit here and you say, well, why did you come down here in the first place? I mean, look what you had ahead of you down here. Where were you going to fit in and play? And now he can go to Indiana and maybe have a pretty good career, up there. I don't know. But it just goes back to, are you not looking at what teams have got, what players are there, who's ahead of you? Or are you just kind of looking at the school and say, I like this, I want to go to Tennessee, I like the atmosphere, and not thinking about where you're going to fit in, huh? Or not? I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, that is getting to be a very dominant thing going on, like the guy in Florida that backed out of the scholarship. They let him off the scholarship. Right. Said he wanted $13 million to go to Florida. I mean,
I would go for a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, and then when he said they didn't come up with the money, so he transferred again, and that's his second school that he's committed to.
He's asking to transfer. I've got that in the headlines. I'll give you a little more information on that in the headlines.
Well, they released him last night.
Did they?
Well,
and they better, because he's had his lawyers lined up.
Yeah,
but a quarterback that has a commitment or has come to Tennessee and then goes to Indiana, they seem to do well. He's not the first. I mean,
well, once you sign a guy like they signed over there from California, that's supposed to be a ace guy. If you got any talent at all, you want to play.
Right.
And so he sees the writing on the wall that they've.
Well, I mean, I think in his defense, you could easily see a scenario where you have 2 quarterbacks leaving the Tennessee roster this year, not one. I mean, there was no guarantee that you're going to be looking at a 6-year senior quarterback, 7th-year senior quarterback coming back next year. He could easily have decided to go on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there could have been a transition year opening for him, but that didn't happen the way it developed.
Yeah.
So good for him. I mean, it's going to be a good move.
Well, like I said, when you bring a guy in from California and all the hype that they put on him, the greatest and all that, who's going to stay?
Right.
Why would you stay?
Well,
and you know,
but given how Indiana played this year, they were a quarterback away in so many good games that I mean, he could be the difference between 3-8 and 8-3 for them.
And this is his home state. I think it'll be a good fit
Well,
for him
yeah,
up there.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that's what's happening in these schools. There's over 100 and something quarterbacks changed schools this year.
Well, there's 100 that went in the portal. I'm not sure all of them found new homes.
Well, I don't either. But most of them already have where they're going to go when they go into the portal.
Yeah. Hey, Charlie Palaio, let's leave the football here just for a second because Donnie Moore's got some things in the headlines, and we'll come back and talk about it again here in a minute. But let's talk a little bit about the Lady Vols. They ran their winning streak to 8. They've got a Southeastern Conference mark of 7-0, and of course they're out at Columbia, Missouri tomorrow to take on the Missouri Tigers. That's a 3 o'clock start. It's on SEC Network Plus. Missouri's 14-5 and 3-3 in the league. They're sort of in the middle of the Southeastern Conference.
Middle of the pack.
This is 8 straight wins, but they're not ranked. They're not ranked. They're
no,
not ranked
you know,
in top 25.
you said it. You said it earlier. Who on the boys' side? I mean, who have they beaten? They haven't beaten anybody. The good teams they've lost to. Now, granted, their pre-conference schedule is tough as always.
Yeah.
But they didn't win any of them. They got beat. I mean, they've got 2 players for me. The big girl's out. I guess she's out for the year. But they've got 2 players in Horston and Jackson. If they don't play, they get beat. There's no doubt. You know, against a good team.
Yeah.
Now, South Carolina and LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas is not a bad team. Other than that, like I said, half those girls in some of those teams, they should be back in high school.
Yeah. Well, you're looking next week. Connecticut's coming to town next week. So they got that coming up, and they've got South Carolina and LSU both looming. If you're looking at the crystal ball, what are you seeing for this team? You know,
I see 3 losses there.
Well,
where's Troy? Where's Troy at? Troy needs to be over here because we're the Lady Vol bashers. He's not here to help me.
I think
he didn't even look at the crystal ball. He just said 3 losses right there. I don't know.
I think UConn is still announced some injuries today. I think they're still going to be down a couple starters.
Yeah, I know that the real good, the Beckers, I guess she's out for a long time, but they still got a lot of players.
They do.
I mean, come on. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. That's not Chamiqua Holtzclaw and Parker out there playing right now.
No.
You know, they're not even close.
Not even close. Do you see a number of pictures that were posted up by the Lady Vols with Candace Parker from last Saturday when she was there?
Chris Lofton?
Well, she was there both days. She was there for Chris Lofton's retirement Saturday and for the game, Lady Vols game, for one of the Summit tributes. But I was shocked. I think everybody in that program got a picture of Candace Parker last weekend.
Well, it's just Lady Vols. Come on, let's put a team out there that can play.
Charlie, they lost the big girl, the Key,
yeah,
right, the inside. Yeah. Is this a better basketball team without her? They.
You know, that's a good question. I think you hit a good point. I think they may be because a lot of times they feel like they have to force it into her. You know, and she was not very aggressive offensively and really wanted the basketball. I
thought she was a lazy player.
Well, I don't know. I think that's just her, Coach. I think that's just the way she plays.
Yeah,
they expected a lot out of her because she's so big.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's really there.
No,
you know? And I'm not to say it's just the way she plays. You know, but it gives more shots for Horston and Jackson, and that's why they're winning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're looking at great players, and you saw a lot of outstanding players on the offensive line at Tennessee, one of the things that you always look for, I think, as a coach, is how much bulldog is in somebody.
Yeah.
And bulldog meaning, how aggressive they are. You know, what kind of fight do they have? And Tamarkey was just as laid back as probably you could be. I mean,
yeah.
From that end of it.
I think, if I'm that big, I'd be screaming at these other guards in that team, give me the basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, she never did that. It was kind of like Coach said, just kind of laid back there. Well, if
I'm
get
here
it,
if you want me.
Yeah, give it to me if you want to. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, she didn't to me jump out like you say.
No.
She didn't want the ball.
She's not like the girl on South Carolina.
She sets a little screen here.
the Boston
and
girl.
rolls around here, but.
I thought that, from the time she came in to the time she got hurt, she just looked like the same player. Is that just me? I mean, she just looked like she was the same. It didn't look like that she really improved her game a whole lot, Charlie.
It's a fair point. I think that's true. I mean, no blame to anybody. I mean, that's just the way she, I'm sure she worked at it, but offensively she was very limited, Her biggest thing is blocking shots. I think that was her big thing,
Well, let's talk a little bit about the league. Right now, you made mention of it a little bit, but outside of LSU and South Carolina, this is probably, compared to past years, a much weaker league on the women's side than we've seen. There's been times where there's been, Mississippi State was pretty good at times. Texas A&M was pretty. I mean, we were talking about maybe 5 teams, maybe 6 that were pretty strong. But this year, you're looking at 2 really good teams. I mean, really good. Either LSU or South Carolina could easily win the national championship this year.
In Arkansas.
But outside of that,
Arkansas gave LSU all they could handle the other night. It was a 3-point game. So Arkansas, that coach there does a good job. And they can shoot the basketball. What just not doesn't make me laugh, but it makes me just frustrated to watch women's basketball right now. And like we talked a little bit before, I was watching again. I think Tennessee, last game they played, I don't know, Mississippi State or somebody like that. There's a player in Mississippi State, a post player, turns around, gets the ball and shoots it with 2 hands and throws it off the top of the backboard. How does an SEC caliber player do that, boy or girl? I don't see it. I think the skill level.
It's the coach's daughter.
It may be.
Oh, wow.
It may be.
I can't believe we went there.
But it's just, I just think the skill level that I've seen lately, on the women's side especially, is very low.
Maybe it's just that they got a lot of young players in the league. I don't know what it is, but it's just not as good as what it has been. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know how many of these teams they're going to put in the NCAA tournament. I know you got to put a lot of teams in there, but I don't know how that's going to work out.
Look at Texas A&M.
I agree with you. There's only 2 coaches in this league right now, and that's LSU and South Carolina.
Those definitely 2 of the best in the country, probably.
They're the 2 that's won national championships, so there's no doubt that they're.
I mean, but you watch that LSU coach, buddy. She'll get in your face.
No. Well, that's true. Look at, that Nikki Caldwell was down there for how many years?
Yeah.
This girl comes in there and she turns it around. Last year they won like 30 games, whatever it was, and were really good, and turned a bunch of really average players into pretty good players.
I tell you what, you mess up with her, buddy. I tell you what, she'll be in your face in a heartbeat.
I tell you.
And the referees, too. She gets on them referees.
Yeah. You know what? I believe that, you look at the women and men that coach the girls' game, I really honestly believe that coach at LSU could coach a men's team. I think she could coach a men's team and do a really good job.
Sure. Well, like they used to say
not to say nobody else could.
Right.
But I think she could really handle the job.
Well, no, I think she's got the presence to command the respect.
Yeah.
Well, just like they said Summit could have did that 2 years
ago.
Yeah, you didn't want to go talk to her.
No.
But there's not many coaches that are like that. Summit was an old school coach.
Oh yeah.
And
she came up the hard way.
Yeah, and you can say, well, she was old school. We miss her. Well, you miss her because she won with that. If she wasn't winning, it wouldn't be wouldn't be so pleasant. And the same with this LSU coach. She gets by with that demeanor because she wins. She wins big, and she's proven.
And she's done it at Baylor and
LSU now.
Yeah. I tell you what, but she also knows players and they fit her system.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me about Rick Barnes. I don't know his system. I really don't understand what he's trying to do. because we already talked about, substituting players all the time, in and out, in and out. I lose my consistency, and I don't know why you do that. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. You keep them fresh, but what the hell? When they go out there, they got to do something.
I think Coach Barnes primarily hangs his head on defense. That he feels like that, defense is where you're not going to play for Rick Barnes unless you can play defense. That's the bottom line. You can come in here out of high school averaging 38 points a game, but if you're not a really good defensive player, your time is going to be limited on that court with him.
I agree. But you also got to put the ball in the hole to win.
Yeah. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, it's Sports Headlines with Donnie Moore and the Tennessee Smokies Spotlight. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
This holiday season, we're grateful for another year of helping you, our members, grow financially. Thank you for choosing us and for allowing us to serve you and help you live better lives. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from all of us at Knoxville TBA Employees Credit Union. We look forward to serving you in 2023.
Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Sports Headlines with Donnie Moore. And Donnie, we're moving right along this morning. We've tried to solve a lot of problems. I don't know if we've made any progress, but
it sounds like we have solved most of the world's problems this morning.
It's been fun.
At least, it has been. We've done real well, I think.
So we'll turn it over to you and continue on, guy.
Thank you, brother. All right, let's get into some sports headlines. First of all, I neglected to mention a score, so let me do that first of all. I had one up here in the corner that I didn't get to. Maryville Christian School played Knox Ambassadors last night and won a twin bill. So Maryville Christian School in the girls' game was 66. Knox Ambassadors 57.
Where are they located?
And Knox Ambassadors?
Yeah.
I do not know. That is a private.
I don't guess I've ever heard
They
of
have
them.
a brick and mortar school.
I think isn't the Ambassadors the homeschool team?
I think you're right. I think it's a homeschool.
I think it's
team.
the homeschool league, homeschool association's league.
I think you're right.
Homeschool.
Yep. So, and Maryville Christian School in the boys contest won 57-53. So, congratulations to Maryville Christian School. All right, let's get into the sports headlines. 5-star cornerback Cormani McLean, who committed to Miami in October, has flipped his commitment to Colorado and new head coach Deion Sanders. McLean is ranked as the country's #1 cornerback and the number 12 overall prospect on the 247 Sports Composite list. A product of Lakeland, Florida High School, McLean did not sign his letter of intent on December 21st. So Deion's got another one.
Well, he needs somebody because he's lost 3 quarterbacks. So
everybody's leaving out
He's
there.
got a good cornerback, though.
He's got a cornerback, and then I guess he's got a transfer that's going to be starting
I guess
quarterback.
his son's a quarterback, isn't he?
He will be now, apparently, because they don't have any left.
That's true.
Well, I think that's why they left. They figured that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Bills safety DeMar Hamlin, while out of the hospital, still faces a lengthy recovery as he recovers from the cardiac arrest suffered during the Week 17 game against Cincinnati. He still requires oxygen and is having his heart monitored regularly, according to a spokesperson. Bills head coach Sean McDermott says he has been visiting with teammates at the Bills facility almost daily. Got a long road to go.
Pretty nice comeback, though. From
Yeah,
what he went
no
through.
kidding. Yeah, we thought, goodness. Thought
Well,
he couldn't
anytime
go back.
anytime you raise the dead, it's a pretty good way.
You got that right. Got that right. Well, LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo lead their respective conferences in the third fan returns of the 2023 NBA All-Star voting. Fans account for 50% of the vote to decide All-Star starters. NBA players and a media panel account for 25% each. James leads all fan voting with over 6 million votes.
There's a game I can't wait to sit down and
No
watch.
kidding. That's-
I can't wait to sit down there in Ball Ground, Georgia.
Yeah.
Sit down there and watch that game. It's like I circle on the calendar every year, Coach Trail.
Which game?
You're losing your mind.
Which game would
Well,
you
he
like to
said-
watch the
you notice
most?
He said that with much honey dripping off his tongue right there.
Which game would you like to watch the most, Charlie? The NBA All-Star game,
Yeah.
or the flag football
Pro
game
Bowl
at the
flag
end?
football
Yeah,
game.
the Pro Bowl.
Oh, well, come on. Let's be fair here. Let's include the Major League Baseball All-Star game as well. Of the 3, which is the lowest
Boy,
of
I
the
tell
3?
you what,
If we're
that-
rating
that
1,
is-
2, well, I would put the NBA All-Star game and that football game in the biggest trash can I can find and get rid of it.
The Houston Astros reject trash can.
That's it. And start banging that trash can. Those are 2 of the worst things
Oh,
ever.
boy.
They've ruined those 2 games.
Well, but rejoice, Charlie, because the report date for Major League pitchers and catchers is less than a month away.
Oh, my.
So all you baseball fans listening, hope is not lost. Mid-February isn't far away, and Cactus League Ball and Grapefruit League Ball will soon signal the end of winter.
You know what the best
End
feeling
of
was?
winter?
Yeah.
We start playing college baseball over at Scotland
Yeah,
Yard while the snow's
that's
falling.
it.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
The best feeling, people ask you a lot, what do you miss about baseball and all this? It was spending the winter up here in Knoxville. It's gray and rainy and cold.
And with Coach Trail.
And you go down to Florida, and the first day you're laying in that grass, stretching, and that sun just beating down on you. Oh, just absolutely glorious.
No better feeling in the world, is there, Charlie?
Well, you're in Atlanta. Well, you're closer now. You're going to head down there.
It is warmer down there.
Yeah.
A little
I
bit
bet.
warmer. Yeah, it's been a little milder down there.
But you're almost halfway to spring training.
I should
Yeah.
go. I
You
think
should go.
You should.
They wouldn't let me in.
I bet they would.
They wouldn't put a uniform on you and let you do some pointers.
Coach, they don't make uniforms that big anymore down there.
Well, the NBA regular season attendance record of 62,046 fans, which had been set 25 years ago on March 27th, 1998, when fans packed the Georgia Dome in Atlanta to see Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls play the Hawks, had a good run, but there's a new record as of last Friday, January 13th. The venue, the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, when the Spurs hosted the Golden State Warriors. The official attendance, 68,323 fans. Oh, and by the way, the score, the Warriors, 144, the Spurs, 113.
Another high-caliber defensive struggle in the NBA.
They played defense there.
I'm telling you, defense is only a rumor in that game.
I don't understand how people would go watch that. A guy goes in for a dunk and nobody challenges. Nothing, just boom.
That's the very reason they went to watch it. No defense.
It reminds me too the old playground days. The coach would go back when you go down the playground on Saturday morning and it's that run and gun.
Yeah, those guys can shoot.
There's no defense. No defense. You come down and first guy whoever has the ball throws it up. And that's it. And you go back to the other end.
Well, here's an item we talked about. Ray mentioned a few minutes ago. 5-star quarterback Jaden Rashada asked the University of Florida to release him from his letter of intent he signed to play football in 2023 for the Gators. The reason? Apparently, the Gator Collective, which is the organization responsible for taking care of NIL deals for the University of Florida athletes, botched Rashada's deal, which he claims was worth up to $13 million. Rashada is ready with legal action if Florida refuses to release him from the NLI. Now, Ray gave us an update on that. They said they released him as of last night.
Yeah, they released him.
Good. Because he was ready to file a lawsuit if they didn't release him.
So now you can get him. Anybody out there can get him for $14 million now.
That's right.
Does that mean they have to give him that money? Is it up front?
No, they were going to pay 4 years.
Over 4 years?
Just a deal that he gets over 4 years. Yeah.
But I thought we weren't supposed to pay guys to come to play. You paid them once they got here to get their incentives.
That's the collective. That's the collective. They make the deal with him, and the money is his over the span of 4 years at the set way that they're supposed to pay him.
Well, he'd already opted out of Miami.
Yeah, he was going to Miami and changed to University of Florida because they were going to pay him more money.
I'd say he'll end up out in Colorado with.
He'll go with Neon Dion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no. It's the Wild Wild West right now.
Oh yeah.
And I heard a great comment.
Money.
Great comment last week. They had a coaches convention, down in Atlanta. Before they played the championship. Was it Atlanta they played the championship game? Wherever they played the championship game, and.
At Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
A coach was sent down there, to the convention, and he came back and they asked him. They said, "Well, what did you take away from the convention while you were down?" And he says, "Well, the biggest thing I took aback was some of the the greatest thing was that the thieves." We're calling the other thieves cheaters, which they all cheating.
That's about right, too.
Yeah.
Thieves were calling
the other thieves
That's
cheaters.
About right. That's about right.
Yeah. It's almost like, if we'll make that comparison to one of Mike's favorite sports, it's like I said, y'all put the cars together, we'll trust you did it right.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to check them anymore and inspect them anymore, but we're pretty sure you're going to follow the rule book.
Yeah, well, if I was a driver, I'd be checking them before I got behind the wheel, wouldn't you, Mike?
Yeah.
Well, that's all for this week's Sports Headlines. Now let's bring the spotlight into focus.
Yeah.
Back to you, Gunner.
Hey, we're back with former UT football coach Ray Trail, veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore, and ex-Atlanta Brave pitcher Charlie Palaio. Let's look at this men's basketball race in the SEC. I'll start with you down there, Charlie. How do you see the SEC race right now?
Well, I think you got to look at Alabama, right? They seem to be a really strong club right now, playing very well. Tennessee, top 10 team. I see it. I think it's more of a two-team race, and those two right there. Kentucky, yes, they beat Tennessee, but they've had their problems. Who's to say they don't go back to where they were before? But other than that, not a whole lot of teams I don't think that can match up with those two.
Yeah, Alabama right now 6-0. Texas A&M is 5-0, Auburn 5-0, Tennessee is 5-1. Marcus, those are the top four, and then you get down to Georgia 3-2, Florida 3-3, Missouri 3-3, Kentucky 3-3, Vanderbilt 2-3, and then you drop off to the next 2, 4, 5 teams that's only got one loss or one victory each. So you've got 3 sections right there. I'm looking at Alabama and Auburn and Tennessee. I don't think Texas A&M is going to hold out, but maybe I'll be wrong. How do you see it?
I think you've got 4 teams right now, possibly a 5th with Arkansas, depending if they can find their feet again, that have pretty much, if they will just play out, they're playing for seeding. Unless the wheels just suddenly come off unexpectedly on somebody. And then maybe that's happened at Arkansas. And then I think you've got about 4 to 5 teams that are fighting for position and to make a run in the SEC tournament to get in and make a statement. And, I mean, I have Mississippi State as one of those. It's a possibility. I just think their schedule, the first part of their SEC play, has been brutal. And if they have a chance in the back half to come out with in the top half of the league. I think Tennessee's wins over them are going to look better in a month than they do right now.
Yeah.
What I think.
Coach Trail, Tennessee's got somewhat of an advantage. Of course, they lost the home game last week.
Yeah.
But they've got Auburn at home, and they've got Arkansas at home, and they've got Alabama at home. And I think they got Texas A&M at home too. So I mean, they've got a very favorable schedule, and they play Texas next Saturday at home. So they've got a lot of. I mean, they can stay in this deal by playing well at home.
That's right.
Compared to some of these other teams, but Alabama, they've beaten people bad on the road as well as at home. They seem to be the cream of the crop right now, Alabama. But how do you see the way this thing's shaping out?
Well, I think you can take the top 8 there or 9, and at the end, it's going to be who can win on the road. And Tennessee, obviously, I thought they played terrible against Kentucky. Terrible. And that's at home. So maybe we do better on the road than we do at home. I don't know. But you're capable of losing 3 or 4 of those games.
Yeah.
And if they don't get their act together and play as a unit instead of playing as individuals, it's anybody's game. After you, I think out of the top 7 or 8 there, you got it's anybody's game.
Yeah. Marcus, got a lot of teams I've read with 3 losses. If you've got 3 losses and you're looking to get back into this league, you just about got to win out. You just about got to win out right now, because I don't think anybody's going to win this league with 4 losses at a max, and I that's cutting it.
Yeah, it is.
At this point, and what you've got to look forward to, you're in the same position as a kicker for the Dallas Cowboys. You've got to be perfect from here on out.
Yes, that's
because if you want to keep on playing, you're going to need something.
Or you're stressing, hey, this is what we got to do to get in the NCAA tournament, not to win the SEC championship, but to get into the tournament.
And it depends on where your program's goals are and what your fan base is expecting, because there are programs that they're not gunning for an SEC championship. They're gunning to be a Sweet 16 team, and those are not mutually beneficial goals, because those are different times where you want to be peaking and different times you want to be expending your energy.
Yeah. Charlie, play a couple of teams that I think have kind of played over their heads early that's been impressive in the league is a couple of those mid-pack teams is Georgia. Is that Mike White down at Georgia?
Came over from Florida.
And the Missouri program.
Yes.
Missouri program, 14-4 right now and 3-3 in the league. I'm looking at those 2 programs that done a good job up to this point. We'll see what happens down the stretch, but hats off to them.
Yeah, great point. I was going to bring up Georgia. I thought Mike White has really turned that program around down there. I mean, I watched a little bit of the Kentucky game last week, and they gave Kentucky all they can handle. It's all the way down to the end of that game, and big difference of how they're playing now. And Tom Crean was, had an excellent pedigree as a coach, but boy, they did nothing at Georgia. Yeah. He did absolutely nothing down there. Yeah. But he's got to go in the right direction. I look for them to be and Missouri's another good choice to be a little candidate to sneak in that tournament at the end too.
And Missouri out there in Kansas City, good area to recruit players out there in that Big 12 category.
New coach there too.
We know what kind of league the Big 12 is this year. Probably the best league in college basketball. So there's available talent out there. So I look for Missouri to maybe move some steps forward up the league now and in the future.
Cuonzo Martin's no longer there too now. They have a new coach at Missouri too, right?
That's correct.
He played there.
Okay.
And,
Marcus, I want to talk also a little bit about Vanderbilt.
Do we have to?
I know. But they're 9-9 and they're 2-3. But for some reason or other, I like Vanderbilt. They're big inside and they got some pretty good shooters. I think they're a team that's better than that record, and I think with that size in the interior that they can pose a lot of problems for people, down the stretch, huh?
I think their team is improving, and I think Coach Stackhouse has got them going the right way. I'm not real certain on them in a crunch situation yet when it's a game that matters and when they're not feeling like right now they seem to be playing with the nothing-to-lose attitude a lot of times. I'm not sure that will translate over when you actually have something to play for. But they've got potential. I mean, they put up a good game with Tennessee. They've followed that up, got a couple wins. They've got the ingredients there to be a good team. It's just a matter of whether they're going to be able to hold off and win some of those road games they're going to have to win to be a good team.
Yeah. And I think Coach Trail, I think Auburn's been a little bit impressive this year. They lost the big guy inside, and they've kind of had to go with maybe a little bit more guard play on the outside. But Bruce Pearl, they're 15-3 and 5-0. They're off to a pretty good start.
Well, you can't count them out.
No.
I mean, you can't count them out. You're going to have to play them just like you play the top 3 or 4 teams.
Sure.
And they're capable of winning any of those games.
Yeah.
And there's several teams on there that to me have good chances to do. I watched Vanderbilt play the other night, and I tell you what, they've got some great personnel.
They do. He's recruited well.
Yeah, and I can't understand though is something missing on that team, and I don't know what it is.
Pippen.
Huh?
Pippen.
Yeah, well, that helped a lot.
He's missing.
But the thing is, they've got players. And
that 7-footer, the freshman kid they brought off the bench. He was really
that's
good.
What I'm talking about.
You have that kind of size inside, you can really make it hard on a lot of teams, especially a team like Tennessee that likes to drive to the bucket, take the ball to you.
Right.
You can really make it hard on them in there.
And I watched them play a game or two, and I couldn't understand why they lost. I mean, they look like they got a good 5 people out there.
It's like they find a way to lose at the end.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, that's like Florida, Mike. Castleton, he can take a team. He can take Florida on his shoulders if he plays well.
And they're playing a little bit.
They
better
are
right
playing
now.
a little bit better right now.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, he likes to pass the ball instead of going to the goal.
He does.
And he'll go in and look like he's just going to lay it up and throw it out somebody out.
He could be more aggressive if he would.
Well, of course, he's a
He's
tall, thin guy.
Yeah, he
is. He's not a muscular guy inside. Right. And I think that hurts him. I
agree.
If they had somebody inside with him shooting outside, now you really got a problem. Mm-hmm. But he can't do it all. And they're counting on him to, he's got the rebound, he's got this, and he just can't do it all by himself.
Yeah, he's the snake of that team. There's no doubt about it. The head of
but
the snake.
But you mentioned Auburn. Is this the quietest 15-3 Auburn team?
Yeah. Hadn't heard much
I
about
mean, you have not heard Bruce Pearl anywhere.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you, the thing about Auburn that you got to – They have a great home court advantage down
yeah.
there. That crowd is probably one of the best in the Southeastern Conference.
It is.
At just 8,000 people,
Yeah,
too.
Yeah,
yeah,
small-
they do a great
small
job down
arena.
there. Yeah, I never thought I'd sit here and build up Vanderbilt in all my wildest dreams, but I'll give them a little bit of credit here this morning anyway. Hey, let's talk about the national rankings. Charlie, the SEC's got 4 teams ranked right now, and the Big Ten's got 2 teams. You know, we're talking about how strong the Big Ten is. I still think it's strong, but they're beating each other up there.
Yeah.
The Big 12, a lot of people think that's the conference this year, 6 teams in the top 25. Pac-12's got 2, ACC 3, and the Big East 4. ACC used to be the league. What's going on, Charlie? What's going on? Let's start with that right there. What's happened in the ACC?
Well, 2 of the most iconic coaches in the history of college basketball are gone, at Duke and North Carolina. I think that's a big part of it. Brought those programs. North Carolina had a lot of hype, didn't they, early to start the year? Weren't they preseason number 1?
Yeah.
And then they kind of went down the drain. But you still, teams like Purdue and a really good ball club, and UConn made a little run for a while. I think they got Seton Hall knocked them off the other night.
Yeah.
In a Big East ball game, but. Yep. I like the Midwest. I'm liking like you said, the Big 10 and the Big 12.
Yeah, they seem to be
teams
pretty
like
strong.
Purdue, and they look really strong.
Yeah,
really strong.
I tell you what, that big guy they got inside there. What's he? 7 foot?
Yeah, there you go,
Eddie.
There you go. Yeah,
7'3" or 2, or I know he's
huge.
A big guy.
Yeah, there's a little intimidation when you got a guy like that in there. And Purdue shoots it well
But
from the
he's
outside. They shoot well outside.
I mean, when you usually talk about somebody that size, you're thinking of like the Manute Bol thin type big guy. He's not a thin big guy. He is a stout big guy.
He's a Hulk. He looks like the guy from the James Bond movies, that real big guy that had the braces
Jaws.
and those jaws. That big.
I tell you what,
huge.
he's impressive. I think he's not really aggressive enough. He could be a lot more aggressive than he is. I mean, he blocks shots and stuff like that, but he has a hard time sometimes when they double up on him.
Yep. Marcus, Arkansas is rated 25. And, we talked a little bit about them
for now.
But they're for now. And they're in the bottom of the SEC. But, they go by who you played during the year and your RPI and all of that. And at 12-5, they're 25th, but struggling in the Southeastern Conference.
Let's remember, they were 12-0.
Yeah.
I mean, they've lost 5 straight after Tuesday night, and that's why I say for 25 for now, because I don't think it matters what they do today. I think they're dropping out of the top 25.
Arkansas is hurting for a big man inside.
All the pieces are still there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not like something you can put your finger on every game that's happened the last 2.5 weeks as to why they are where they are.
Charlie, Donnie Moore is over here telling me we got to wrap it up. But
some things never change.
There's a couple of teams. Charleston is 18-1, ranked 18th, and Florida Atlantic is 16-1, ranked 24th. There's a couple of teams that would get, lower seeds in the tournament that, you have to be careful with. But the problem is they got to win their tournament.
Right.
If they don't win their tournament, they can have an outstanding record and not even get in.
Yeah. Is there another St. Peter's out there from last year? Who knows?
Yeah. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, the panel presents the Shelter Insurance Bold Prediction segment. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at StevensonTire.net.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
And that.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Panel Shelter Insurance Bold Predictions segment. I'm here with Coach Ray Trail, longtime sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons, Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore, and ex-Atlanta Brave pitcher Charlie Palaio. So I've got some predictions right here. So we'll kind of go around here and see what everybody feels about these. I'm going to throw the first one out, and we'll just go around, and you can name your poison on it, okay? Number one, the Lady Vols versus Connecticut. Who you liking?
Connecticut.
Coach Trail says Connecticut. Marcus?
Didn't take him long to predict that either, did it?
It's so difficult to choose this one, but I will take UConn to win that one. I'm not saying Tennessee doesn't have a chance, but it's. I don't think Coach Oriama is going to take another medical leave on him. So
no.
Charlie Palaio.
Where's the game at, Coach?
Thompson Bowling.
At Thompson Bowling.
I think UConn's had their number and will continue to do so. I just don't see Tennessee having enough players. They got two good players. Other than that, I don't think they can compete with UConn. No.
Donnie?
I'm taking the Huskies.
Okay. Everybody taking UConn. They play in the weakest league in America. I mean, that Big East Women's League is absolutely horrible.
They're kind of like Alcoa in football.
They are.
The Lady Vols seem to have put it together. I'm thinking they're going to get their big win. They're going to beat Connecticut.
Ooh. Well, they'll need a big game from Horston and Jackson.
Yeah, they will.
Sure.
They will, but I think they've got a lot of momentum right now. We'll see what happens. Next one. Will the Dallas Cowboys place kicker, Brett Mayer, be perfect in their playoff game with the 49ers on extra point attempts?
Yes. He'd be perfect.
How many he missed last week, Donnie?
He missed
4 or 5?
4 in a row.
4 in a row. Well, the Cowboys aren't real sold on him because they picked up another guy.
They brought in a backup, so he better be perfect this time.
I think he will be perfect one way or the other. He's either going to miss the only one he gets to try, or he's going to hit everyone.
He'll be perfect, or he'll be perfectly awful.
Because if he goes out there and wide rights another one on the first time Dallas scores,
he may not get
he won't be back on the field.
No. He won't see the field again.
He may not make the plane.
No. He'll leave
Charlie
him on
Palaio.
the tarmac.
You know that Manning broadcast they do, and I thought Peyton Manning had the great line, can we fire a kicker at halftime or something like that, or get rid of him?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm serious. You got one job. You're only going out there 3 or 4 times a game.
I kind of feel bad for those guys, though.
Yeah.
I know Lonnie used to hate these guys. These kickers,
they weren't asking him to kick a 60-yard game-winning field goal. They're asking him to hit a point after.
Yeah, but
do players ever ask these guys to go out for a drink? Or
are they part of? They don't even play practice. They don't
practice
with the team. Don't they practice on their own field and all this stuff?
I don't know.
There's a
just kind
special
of feel
teams
bad.
field.
I
where
mean,
they work.
the high and low of being a kicker is just.
Oh,
I
gosh.
mean, talk about that. That's awful.
Yeah,
You know?
you win a game or
Oh gosh.
you lose a game.
And you don't. And if you don't do it enough, you're out of a job, and they go get somebody else.
Maybe they go out with the dance team or the cheerleaders or somebody like that.
They must
I
have
don't
to have
know.
some kind of perk that they
Got
do that
some,
job.
Yeah. What do you think, Donnie?
He will hit every kick attempt that he does
Today?
Who they playing? Who they
now,
playing?
every
San
extra
Francisco.
point attempt.
It's extra
let
point.
me qualify that.
Extra
yes.
point. Yeah.
He may miss a field goal, but he will hit all of his extra point attempts.
I say that he will miss one today.
If he does,
If you miss 4,
woe be
how in
unto
the world
him.
do you prove that
All
much?
right.
Now, let me take it back. If Dallas just scores 1 touchdown, maybe he'll just make that one. I don't know, but
Does he say he makes the first 2, misses the third one?
You're being real optimistic about what Dallas is going to do.
Do you yank him? Do you yank him out of there? Do you take him out?
Nah,
Absolutely.
What they do is they're just going to go for it on 4th down every time.
yeah. What if his kick for an extra point decides the game going into overtime or a win?
Oh,
How about that? Huh?
I wouldn't want to put him out there because if you're talking about going to overtime, you're talking about maybe a
Yeah, but
28-28
the
game.
thing is, his overall deal is good.
He's a good kicker, isn't he? He's supposed to be a good kicker.
He's got
Yeah, but you don't know how he managed to get into his own head on national television and just totally implode. And you don't know how that he's crawled back out of it until he gets back out there.
He's got the thing.
Well, they're going to have to give him 2 shots before the game.
He's got the
to
yips.
calm him down.
Baseball, we call it the thing. You know, you
And
just
in
can't-
gymnastics, they call it the
can't throw it.
twisties.
The twisties, yes, that's right. Coming out of the past, Donnie.
Yeah.
He has the twisties. That's what he's got.
Is that like a breakfast cereal from your all's day or
No,
something?
that girl had the twisties. Remember that?
That
Yeah.
became a thing.
All right, let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is, will Florida ever put another NIL deal on the table?
If they don't, go ahead.
You act like they haven't put another one on since this happened.
And that was just yesterday.
Well, they put one on there, and they just didn't put enough.
I don't know what it was. They might have put it on there, but nobody had the money. I don't know. I don't know.
They put it on there, then they couldn't find the money.
13 mil.
Yeah. What do you think, Marcus?
Oh, I think it's a given they will. My only question is, like, did somebody explain – I'm assuming somebody explained to this guy that there's limits on when you can get the money. I mean, you're not doing this to rent a limo for prom with the money you're going to get going to –
We're not writing you a check.
I mean, you don't get to do that.
How do they pay him? How do they pay him?
They pay him,
is it a monthly thing?
To
or
be
how?
determined.
Well, he was going to get paid
over 4
for
years.
over 4 years, so he'd get a payment every year.
So
for
at the
4
start
years.
of every school year, he's going to get a $2-3 million check.
Whenever they decided to pay him.
You know, the thing's going to be – and this is going to be the point that's going to eventually touch something off and make them step in, is when you've got like a college collective that is – because high school kids can sign these things.
Yes.
When the college collective comes forward and starts paying somebody their senior year, you know, what do you do at that point? Because now you're getting money from colleges directly paying kids before they actually walk in the classroom. That's going to be something different, because when they start doing that, then you're doing it before signing day, and it becomes a real issue. You're basically paying them to come to school upright and in front of everybody.
Yeah. Charlie, does Florida put another legitimate NIL?
You
if
know
you're
something?
a player, do you trust them?
You know, here's my thought on this. I don't care anymore about that NIL stuff. I hope they have ruined college football for me and this pay-for-play stuff. You want to be a pro player, figure out a way to go after high school, whatever you want to do. But this college sports are ruined.
Well, they're pros
It's
now.
ruined.
It's
Yeah.
professional sports.
And I mean, look what happened to Tennessee this year, if that was true, about the one guy got upset because the other guy was getting all the money and he didn't play in that game, got suspended, whatever. That's just the tip of the iceberg. You know that's going on.
Right.
Sure it is.
I don't. Well, it's going to keep going on until we get rid of it.
And
it's
then
the same thing that you go, but think about it. You see this you talk to people who work with teenagers, whether it be fast food or whether checkout lines. They used to always gripe, we didn't want the kids to talk about what they made because we rewarded the good ones and they were making more money. And then when somebody found out, it became a thing and drama.
Right,
and
right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The guys are talking about what
You're
they're
right.
getting, and they're 18, 19 years old bragging about it. Well, the offensive lineman who's helping you make all that money is not getting as much. He's not going to be real happy.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't the quarterback showed up in his new Mercedes that he got the deal with, the Mercedes dealer?
Hooker.
Yeah. And I mean, you show up at practice in your brand new $100,000 Mercedes, and here's your defensive linebacker who's the best player on defense. He doesn't like it.
Yeah, but he offered him a ride. He offered him a ride in the Mercedes.
Sit in the back. Big in the back, though. No food in the car. Only clear liquids.
Hey, I got one more here. California is in the process of looking at a revenue-sharing law for colleges and universities. It's called the College Athlete Protection Act, and players could receive up to $25,000 per year. Per year. In other words, the school is be a revenue sharing. If a school, now this is just an example.
Yeah.
A school takes in $6 million, costs them $500,000 for their scholarships, other expenses, whatever it might be. This is hypothetical because most schools' budget are a lot more than $6 million. That would leave $2.5 million that would go into the player trust. The school would then designate this trust, and it would be set up in individual players' names. And they would hold it for 4 years under the stipulation in order to get your trust money, which could be over $100,000, you would have to graduate. You would have to get your degree from the university to get that trust money. Now, it can be legal because the school's not giving it to you like NIL funds. They're putting it in a trust. And, if you don't graduate, then it just goes back into the kitty for the next group to come into.
So you couldn't go in the transfer portal, and you.
Yeah, if you leave or go in, and you can't just over your lifetime take 2 or 3 classes just to try to get your money over 20 years. You've got to be a full-time student in order to get it. They like for you to get it done within 6 years and then get that money, but they're saying that you would have over $100,000 in order to get that in. Chance of passing or not, a pretty good idea compared to what we have been seeing.
I like some of the idea.
Yeah.
If you graduate, you get the money.
Yeah, and you're putting yourself on the line out there where you can be hurt, and you should be able to share in some of that revenue, even though they call you you're not an employee, but you're really the reason that they're taking in that money.
Yeah.
So I think this is a fair idea from. At least it makes a little bit more sense than some of this NIL stuff that I'm seeing, Coach Trail.
I mean, I think that guy at Florida, when they decided to put it over 6 years or whatever it was, he wanted the money up front.
Yeah.
Hell, he wanted $13 million up front.
Right.
Shit. I mean, ain't nobody gonna do that.
No.
Hell,
Marcus, this is just for
how good he is.
This is just for California schools now. This is not a national deal, just for California. So say if they get that passed, that's an extra incentive for somebody to come and play. Now this is for all athletes, not just your best ones.
Right.
This is for girls programs, men's programs. Everybody's a part of this deal, this revenue sharing. Huh?
Well, you put it that way. I guess if we're picking if it's going to pass, probably in California. Will it pass anywhere else? No. Why? Because we're all going to share and share alike, Mike. There's no performance enhancer here to reward the star quarterback. I think you're going to introduce that in Nashville and be called a communist.
Well, you still – now, listen, this doesn't eliminate NIL deals. It doesn't eliminate NIL. This just benefits everybody concerned. I got Donnie Moore. He's telling me we got to get on out of here, so maybe we can pick this up maybe at a later date. Charlie Palaio, great to have you back here this morning.
Appreciate it, man.
How's your house coming?
We're getting there. A few more weeks, I hope.
All right. Well, come back and see us anytime. Donnie Moore, I'm ready for the whistle. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael at Loud Media, our host, the Blue Tick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Charlie Palaio, Ray Trail, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Provo Heron. Until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
Good show. Good show. Good show.
Good show, man. Good.
you.